Hi, I'm Straight Arrow. This is my second YouTube video. After I uploaded my first YouTube video, I was struck with a fit of giggles. I thought about how my video was the nadir of the lousy, and yet I was discussing the work of a man whose short films were the epitome of perfection. And the irony of it really got to me. But I'm doing it again. I can only hope that my videos are so lousy that they get a certain cult following. Sort of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I know though with only 6 views that I'm not there yet. Maybe this one will do it. You have to dream big. Of course, it might help if I were to download video editing software so I could put in exciting images or something like other people do. But no, I'm too cheap. I have only this camera. Today, I'm going to talk about Michael Jackson and race. Race is a really sensitive topic in my country, the United States of America. We had a president not too long ago whose name was Bill Clinton. And towards the end of his term, his second term in office, he announced a goal of starting a national dialogue on the topic of race. Now, for those of you who are old enough to remember this, he was notably unsuccessful in starting this very important national dialogue. And the reason that he was unsuccessful was because he started a national dialogue on the topic of what is sex. And despite the sensitivity of that topic, it was obviously much easier for us to discuss than the much more difficult and squeamish-inducing topic of race. And for those of you who are old enough to remember, you may recall that we were all sitting around discussing the use of cigars. Okay, that was more entertaining and easier for us than race. So I think Michael Jackson has presented us with a unique opportunity to attempt to start the dialogue, which President Clinton really so correctly pointed out as being important for us. Now, I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about my race. I suppose in looking at me you may notice that I'm white. Okay, my mother was an old line wasp, and she could trace her ancestry back to Elder Brewster on the Mayflower. And my father's ancestry was Central European Jewish, and he actually came here as a refugee from Hitler, from Germany. And at the time my parents got married, that was a mixed marriage. Okay, it was really challenging for my mother. Her father had been extremely anti-Semitic. I firmly believe that had he not died prematurely of a smoking-induced heart attack, I would not exist. Because I don't think she would have dared to marry my father if her father had still been alive. As much as I hate cigarettes, I believe I owe my existence to them. And as a result of my parents' mixed marriage, I believe that I lack ethnicity. Except possibly American. I am a melting pot child. And I believe that Michael Jackson was similar in some ways. That he actually lacked race, much as I lack ethnicity. Now, if I had purchased the video editing software, I could, at this moment, start flashing some pictures in front of you. I might flash pictures of, for instance, Joseph Jackson, Michael Jackson's father, Barack Obama's father, and Barack Obama's mother. But you can go out on YouTube or Google, whatever, and you can find pictures of these people, and you can see that Barack Obama, who's a noted biracial person, has a skin color somewhere between the skin colors of his African father and his white mother. But if you look at a picture of Joseph Jackson, you'll see that his skin color is actually lighter than that of Barack Obama, and that his eyes are light in color. I think Michael Jackson actually said in an interview that his father's eyes were blue. And therefore, we can see that Michael Jackson's father is actually part white, maybe mostly white. And Michael Jackson's mother has been widely reported to have been part Cherokee Indian and possibly even to have straight hair. And if you look at her, you can see that she has Native American features. So Michael Jackson was himself triracial. He had white, African, and Native American ancestry. And of course his youthful appearance was quite African, but as we know, it was notably removed from him by a combination of disease, plastic surgery, wigs, and makeup, and clothing, too. And he also, though, when he had children who had the races of their mothers. And many people suspected, even though Michael Jackson publicly stated in an interview that they were his biological children, many people suspected that they were not. Yet, after Michael Jackson's death, we saw photographs of Prince. We could clearly see that he had vitiligo on his skin, which caused, I think, most of us to feel that Michael Jackson had been telling the truth about these children, that they were really his biological children. And that they had the races of their mothers, the white children having white appearance, and the child of the Hispanic mother having a Hispanic appearance. Janet Jackson said that Michael said that his Blanken's mother was Hispanic. And then there's a young man who claims to be Michael Jackson's son, although we don't know if that's true or not, and he has an African appearance, presumably because he had a mother with an African appearance. So Michael Jackson actually lacked race on a cellular level. He was unable to supply a racial appearance to his children. His children had the racial appearances of their mothers. So, and this was because, like me, Michael Jackson was a child of the melting pot. Now, it's my understanding that most African Americans have mixed race ancestry, or many do, and it's seldom discussed. And I think white people have trouble discussing it because white people are uncomfortable with mixed race relationships. And I think African Americans often have trouble discussing this too, because while they may have every reason to be proud of their slave ancestors, because while those people suffered, they also survived and they contributed positively to the building of our nation. African American people have every reason, I think, to be a little uncomfortable with their white ancestors, many of whom were rapists, who were slaveholders who raped their slaves. And I think it's uncomfortable to think about descending from rapists. Although, I have to say myself, being a person of Jewish ancestry, many Jewish people have a European appearance, even though Jewish people originally came from the Middle East, because many Jewish women were raped. And similarly, if you go to Eastern Europe, particularly in the Ukraine area or something, you'll find a lot of white people with Asian features because some of their ancestors were raped by Genghis Khan and his hordes. So having different mixed racial appearances because of rape is not at all unusual in the world. So I think we should become more comfortable with the idea that, yeah, we could have some ancestors who are rapists, and it's okay. We can still be okay if that's the case. And I think Michael Jackson, because of his high profile and all of the controversy around him, has given us a really unique opportunity to discuss these issues, and that discussion could be really positive for us, and to come to accept each other here in this country as all, many of us anyway, products of the melting pot, and to accept ourselves as being more similar to each other than different could be something that could come out of that dialogue. So I hope that all of the controversy about Michael Jackson and race can have that positive effect of getting us into that dialogue that President Clinton failed to initiate. So, thank you for listening, and heal the world.